A Manhattan federal judge has ordered documents in a lawsuit connected to Jeffrey Epstein be unsealed.
All right, that ruling likely will make the names of dozens of people with ties to Epstein public. Fox 5's Sharon Crowley in the newsroom with more on exactly what that order means tonight. Sharon.
Yeah, Steve and Natasha, those names could involve powerful business executives, from former American presidents to British royalty, and maybe names of public figures who we don't even know yet that may have had ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, a federal judge here in New York has ordered the unsealing of dozens of documents naming people linked to the disgraced businessman and accused sex trafficker. Those documents are expected to identify more than 180 people. The list will include associates, victims, investigators, and journalists who covered the case. Now, some of the names will remain under seal, including those belonging to minors. The accused pedophiles case generating worldwide interest. Epstein's suicide in 2019 in a Manhattan jail cell, further amplifying the public's thirst for information.
On a related note, a motion in Congress to reveal the contents of Epstein's flight logs has seemingly stalled, a situation Congressman Tim Burchett says is due to representatives being blackmailed.
You're also working to uncover his infamous client log from his private jet, a motion the Democrat Senator Dick Durbin is trying to block. Congressman, why do you think so many Democrats are committed to protecting the list of a dead pedophile? What possible national security implications could that have?
What you see in so many times, and my dear friend Marsha Blackburn, I thought she was snubbed. That's why I got involved with it. She can handle her own, but when the Democrat-controlled Senate did that, I went to Chairman Comer in the Republican-controlled House, and I said, we need to fix this. This is wrong. And too many of my colleagues, I'm afraid, are compromised in this area for whatever reason. Somebody's whispered in their ear, said, hey, you don't want something to come out on something else, you better keep your mouth shut on this. And that's exactly what they've done. And it continues to go, whether it's the honeypot that the Russians used to use or something worse. I don't know. But it's clearly, you see that up and down the line. You see good conservatives vote for liberal policies. And frankly, you see some liberals occasionally that will vote for something else. So obviously, the Congress has been compromised, and this continues on through the White House, through the Justice Department. The trash can is very deep. It's not a swamp. It's an open sewer.
And since we're in the business of issuing subpoenas now, here are a few more that I've filed. A subpoena to Jeffrey Epstein's estate to provide the flight logs for his private plane, given the numerous allegations of human trafficking and sexual abuse surrounding Mr. Epstein. I think it is very important that we identify everybody that was on that plane and how many trips they took on that plane and the destinations to which they arrived.
Chairman Durbin, can I ask you a quick question? Why won't you subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs?
So who are you?
Hillary Vaughn with Fox.
With Fox, of course. I don't know anything about his flight logs.
But why won't you subpoena them? Why don't you want to know?
I don't know the issue. I know who Epstein was, but I certainly don't know anything about the issue.
Well, he was charged with sex trafficking, so why don't you want to know who was utilizing his private plane?
Never been raised by anyone.
Well, Senator Blackburn has wanted to subpoena them, and there hasn't been a vote in your committee.
Said a word to me, not a word.
But aren't you curious, like, what high-profile or powerful people might be closeted predators and pedophiles? Doesn't that concern you?
Of course.
So why won't you subpoena them if you can?
It's the first time anyone has raised it. Thank you, Fox.
So are you curious about it? Will you do it?
Durbin's a liar. Last week, Primetime asked his office why he was blocking votes to subpoena Epstein's flight logs, and they said there wasn't enough time. And then at today's hearing, Durbin complained that Fox was asking him to investigate sex trafficking. Poor little Dick. Durbin.
Senator Blackburn, before you leave, I want to make a point for the record, since I understand you made some statements about the Jeffrey Epstein flight logs. There's a Fox reporter in the hallway who asked me about this, and I said I had not spoken to you one time about this issue. I think you'll back me up on that. I'm not mistaken. I didn't know that this was even a subject of your amendments, which, if you'll recall, you were the first on the list until the 2-hour rule was invoked. I don't know anything about this request on your part. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. But I haven't done any discussion with you to this point, correct?
Mr. Chairman, I know, and I think you're fully aware that I had two amendments, one
wasn't.
dealing with Epstein and Sotomayor. I'd brought it up previously.
I have to confess I didn't know that you'd offer that amendment. Happy to discuss it with you, but I want to point on the record. You and I have never personally discussed this, have we?
We talked briefly on the floor at the
You never
conclusion.
mentioned what the subject matter of your amendment was. You said you wanted to offer your
In
amendment.
committee, I brought up the subject matter of my amendments.
Not in my
3
presence.
weeks.
Not only was the subject matter brought up in Durbin's presence, Senator Blackburn was speaking directly to him.
I seek recognition.
Senator Blackburn?
Since we're in the business of issuing subpoenas now, here are a few more that I've filed. A subpoena to Jeffrey Epstein's estate to provide the flight logs for his private plane.
Thank you, Senator. When I recognized you, I didn't know what subject you wished to speak to. As I announced at the beginning, the first thing we'll consider the 2 judicial nominations, then we will move to the subpoena.
All right, so we caught him lying. First, there wasn't enough time. Then this was the first time he was hearing about it. Then it was never brought up in his presence. Why is Dick playing dumb?
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, no legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
Not a swamp, it's an open sewer.